All right, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. Oh yeah. Very special guest.
Oh, I already say my name? Oh, I'm Sebastian Fowler. Hi.
Hey.
Hello, Mr. Trahan. Good to see you today.
Good to see you.
How you doing, brother?
So the audio is free for everybody, and the video goes up on Patreon first, and then eventually it'll go to YouTube.
Support this man.
Yes, do all the things. So I know for a fact that you usually use a stage name, correct?
So the thing about Seabass, I'm convinced half the scene doesn't know my real name. It was first given to me by this kid, Thomas Bonagaria, in 7th grade at the BMX track. I hated it. I didn't like it.
Right.
And everyone started calling me Seabass. And then I moved to Utah after my dad passed. And I was like, oh, be Sebastian now. And then it was Seabass again. And then I moved again, and it was Seabass. And then I moved, and it was Seabass. It's an inescapable nickname. So Seabass is what I've been given by the grace of God. But no one's really branded it yet. There's Sebastian Maniscalco, the main Sebastian in comedy. So I'd like to be
Just you want to. The goal now is just to be a comic known as just Seabass.
I'd like people to know my name, but I think Seabass is a very instantly recognizable kind of like brand trademark kind of thing. Just like
So kind of both.
I want to honor my family name and that too.
Sure.
And Seabass is just easy. A lot less letters on the marquee, for sure. There's several points in my life my first name hasn't fit on those forms that you fill out, because it usually only gives you 8 spaces. I have 9 letters, so it's Sebastian.
So how did you get into comedy?
Ooh, that's a good question. I always loved funny movies. Watching with my dad, like Step Brothers and Anchorman, and all the Will Ferrell stuff, and Adam Sandler movies, and Christopher Walken, and George Carlin, and Richard Pryor, and Patrice O'Neill, and just funny TV shows. I love The Simpsons, and Family Guy, and Robot Chicken. All that sort of stems from this comedic underbelly, and then stand-up is just this one derivation of the subject. I always watched Comedy Central Presents when I was a little kid. I loved that, those 30-minute specials on late at night. I thought those were super fun. I loved like real specials like Jimmy Carr, George Carlin, and Jim Carrey, and all of that really cool old HBO stuff. HBO always had like amazing specials. Eddie Murphy. I go down the list, but I love watching comedy. So I think I've always been kind of like a silly person, hanging out with my friends and stuff. I always going for the laugh. And then one night, I went to a show here with my friend Christina, main room show.
Yeah.
And I think it was a mixture of Gabe, Josh, and you, who were all like, oh, you work here, you could do stand-up. Nobody told me you could just go on Instagram and sign up. So I took the job, and that's how I got started. But yeah.
Well, at the time, what we weren't.
Oh, it really weren't at the time?
No, it was.
Okay, cool, sweet, yeah, because you had just moved from Horton. I never saw the Horton Madhouse. I've been through Horton before they demolished it. There was a good week I was driving around like, where is this place? I remember it specifically being
Going right now, but it's a curated list.
Right.
And there's ways of getting up on the list.
Oh, trust me, I
So that was just probably either it wasn't explained correctly or
I don't think it was available. I think in hindsight, I'm just thinking that was what was available. Because that's
right,
what I'm used
probably,
to now.
probably was pitched to you to move up the list. Because
Mm-hmm.
people come, they're like, oh, it's a quick thing, or how do you get up on a list? It's like, well, you get better at comedy, you have people in San Diego know who you are, you help the club out.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely been. I mean, that instance was over 2 years ago, I think.
Right.
So it's been quite an adventure since. My set counter is at 460 right now. So 460 sets versus that first one.
Do you have them all recorded?
I have, I'd say about 99%. There's been a few times where technical interference or the phone died or something like that. Most of it, yeah, audio or video. You were the one who actually gave me the advice to do that in the beginning, which is pretty cool. Shouts out to Aaron. My first piece of comedy advice.
So when did you get addicted to performing?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'd say I caught the bug on my second go at it. Because I only did 13 sets on the first try, and then I quit. I had just a bad 5. I was like, I have a new girlfriend, I don't need to do comedy anymore. And then we broke up. And I remember I was just so slumpy for 2 months. I was just the guy that people would hang out with, and they're like, I can't hang out with that guy anymore. But we can't do that. It's just so depressing. So I went to go see the Secret Show in LA, Red Band Secret Show. And there was this dude, Casey Rocket, and I remember specifically just not being able to breathe. I almost peed my pants. And I realized the power of what comedy was, like what you could do with it. You could take somebody who was in the worst state and just make them able to forget that they're sad for a little bit. And that's amazing. So I immediately went home and got my book and went through everything that I thought was like worthy of trying again. And then I did my 13th try, so October 24th, 2022. And then it was just a whirlwind. Since then, it's been over 400 sets. That's at least like one a day, multiple a day. Just driving, wherever I need to go just to get my hands on the mic. And even if I bomb, it's just worth it to go and do it over and over again, because that's the only way to get better at this.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the furthest so far that you drove?
Ooh, drove to Texas.
Texas.
To not get on. That was cool. That was ACC on crack. Yeah, that was nuts. I tried to get on the Kill Tony arena shows. I know that you've done Kill Tony in the past, which is cool.
Just got lucky.
Yeah, it was a much different bucket, I'm sure. Yeah, there was they allowed for people that didn't have tickets to the venue to also sign up for it. They gave them like their own kind of section instead of just a comedian section. So I thought it was going to be limited to whoever had tickets in the show to give me like a better chance, but you played the cards, and that was fun. I signed up for 4 different mics that weekend, and I didn't get on a single. So that's the farthest I've driven. I've actually not done comedy outside of the city, I guess, in that retrospect. One day, for sure. I'd love to go back to Connecticut and try it. Like everyone talks about going to their hometown. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So what's the biggest audience you've performed for so far?
It'd probably be a full house at ACC, like a 300-seater in there, which is still like an amazing opportunity. Some people sleep on it and they'll just throw the opportunity away, because then you give ourselves this room, for instance, like the brick, we could fit maybe 50, 60 people in here, and it's an amazing feeling. Like when you get that going, that's 6 times as many humans that are able to hear your jokes, like put some work into them and make them funny.
Right. And
you could really make that room special. I think La Jolla is pretty cool too, because of the shape and the regard where you can see the whole audience. ACC is kind of dark, but yeah, I'd say about 300 people, probably, which is very similar to that funeral bit I do sometimes. Like, people think it's like I made it up, but the first time I ever made a big crowd laugh was at my dad's funeral. That was probably about the same as a full ACC, which is funny. Yeah, that one, no prep, just won it. So that was the first time I ever made a big crowd laugh, and that was probably like where the birth of like my comedy journey started, and I wouldn't realize that for at least 10 years.
Sure.
Yeah. Just kind of sat very dormant.
I'm sure, like the grief, like interfering with the
a little bit. Yeah,
process.
Yeah, to be at a funeral of somebody who's like, especially your own father.
Yeah.
And then to just
you
be
were
like,
really close to your father.
Yeah, he was my best bud. I went up there with no speech and started talking, and within 30 seconds, the whole congregation was like eruptively laughing. And I was like, what? I don't know. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then just knowing that power is available, like that is comedy. You're going up there, you use what you have available inside you, and you put it out, and maybe it's funny. So it's like the constant.
So do you on stage? Do you doing yourself, or are you doing like a character or a different version?
I think I'm slowly turning into like a real version of me.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I think most of us try to start off with some kind of like embolism towards like another comedian that we really look up to, maybe kind of like take similar mannerisms or cadences and take those with him. So there's certain jokes, like I don't know, I could like relay them to each comedian. Like some jokes kind of sound Hedbergy, or some jokes kind of sound like, it sounds rude to say it like that. I just feel like they're not true to my own self yet, but they are turning into that, because I'll go back and look at old stuff and realize that I can do that same bit better in a way that feels more authentic to me. Because, I mean, Seinfeld put it best. He said there's 4 levels to comedy. So there's making your friends laugh, there's making a stranger laugh, there's getting paid to make a stranger laugh, and then people start talking like you. I think that's the most important part, because when people start talking like you, that means that you are the truest version of yourself, and you're always going to be that. So when they're doing this kind of nuance, trying to be you, that's because you are the fullest version that you could be of yourself. And if your audience,
that's great.
yeah, if your audience likes that, then you'll never be anything else because you'll always be authentic to who you are. So you find that true voice. You don't really need to ever stray away or become some kind of like character because you're just you.
Oh yeah.
So that's the goal. A lot of people don't like me, so.
Okay.
I've pissed a lot of people off, I've interrupted a lot of conversations. I apologize to all you guys, I got a crazy brain. I think I've always had a hard time making friends. And I remember starting the first day of 6th grade, like, okay, don't be a weirdo. You can do this, just be regular, don't be weird. And like within 2 hours, I was the outcast kid, and I was just, damn it. So comedy's very high school, and it's.
I mean, you have to understand, or at least from my perspective, we are humans, we're social animals.
Yeah.
And you're never going to take the social part out of it.
No. This is definitely a higher element of social. I keep using nuances, I don't even know if I'm using the word correctly, but there are certain syndicates of like clique activity where there's like little patches of groups and stuff, and each one of those is going to network within their own realms and kind of like, they work together, like in certain aspects.
Well, I guess this is a common theme of people on the podcast.
Yeah.
I guess saying this, and then, you know, I mean, I'm not a I don't have any, I have a degree in computer science, not the social sciences. All I know is that are social animals, they categorize people.
Yeah.
And I would just ask you this, wouldn't you rather be around people that like make you comfortable? As opposed to
no, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying.
So that's what cliques are, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that it's just easy, there's no pressure, someone just come in and it's like, okay, this is the guy that always
it's a heavy
says
one.
something that is weird, like, yes, we're all weird.
You don't want to be that guy, but I have been several times in the past, and that's reflected negatively on like what people think of me or like who they think I am. So it's given me kind of like a negative opportunity as far as getting booked on shows, like just like, so I'm trying to become a better version of me.
Exactly.
Someone said that
trying to tell you what to do, I just would say that like just like on stage, you read the room.
Yeah, it's a constant. That's the thing.
You have to constantly be
social awareness has definitely been one of my like not my forte. I'll stand on my bike and play guitar, but it's really hard for me to read situations like that sometimes. It might be actually like, I don't want to blame it on some kind of like mental thing, but I never even got diagnosed. I just know that I've been an asshole in the past, and I'm really sorry about it. So I'm just trying to make sure that like every day from here on out, like they say, comedy is a place where every day you get a chance to be better than you were yesterday. So I just want to go into every show and like, just be cool, be a good hang. That's really what it's all about. Like, there was somebody who told me, if you want to make it in comedy, then you need to be able to like share a minivan with 4 other people across the country and not have them lose their minds. So I'm trying to become the version of me that is able to do that. Because I'm a very goofy dude. And I'm cool with the fact that I'm a goofy dude, but I'm very goofy. And for some people, it's a lot. So just trying to tone it, keep it cool, save it for the stage, find ways to like use all that energy and get it out. Like I think the more true you are, that's when you really kind of like find the like those edged versions of yourself, like the Kinnison level of comedy, where you're just that's a very tough energy to focus and make funny. So I don't know, I'm definitely kind of leaning into that. But I want to be nice and fun and get along with all my friends, and I think it's kind of neat the fact that it's like a high school syndicate. It takes me back in time. It's like it's like being at the cafeteria. You have a plate of food, and you're like, okay. It's one of those things, but it's fun, and I am very grateful for all the opportunities that have come from just meeting all my little friends along the way. Even the negative ones, all the negative things, like people that don't think I'm cool, or like they've been very mean to me up front and very in my face. Just it's like, thank you, I appreciate that, because it just gives me the courage to like get back up on stage and do it again. And like, it's not long race; it's a very long race to the finish line, if there even is like a So it's like, keep your head down, just keep going, follow what you believe in, and like listen to your heart. Mine's telling me to keep doing this over and over again. So we're here.
Yeah, definitely. And I would definitely, stage time is very precious, but also you have to like not sacrifice, say, like your integrity for stage time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm not.
To keep a moral high ground is like,
Yeah, so that's what I would suggest to any comics. Don't,
It adds to the authenticity factor too.
don't lie about stuff.
Yeah, just be real.
Because that just pisses people off and gets you banned even temporarily.
I would know.
I wasn't trying to call you out, but
I'd be happy to explain it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's really not a big deal.
we can talk about it later.
I love this club. This is my first club. My first set was right there.
Oh yeah.
Josiah Moreno was my host. Won't forget that. That was cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was neat. November 12th, 2021, I think. And then when I came back and really tried, it was October 24th, 2022. I have no idea who was hosting that.
You're like, oh, I'm back at it.
That one doesn't matter.
So what is your writing process for comedy?
Ooh, that's fun. Usually I'll just be driving in my car and think of something like, write that down as a note. And then that note goes in a big pile of other notes. Then I'll, it takes some mustering to get done, but I'll get a book out and I'll go through all the notes and kind of pick and choose which ones are similar subject material, write that on a big page, and kind of have that be like a little subsection, but give each one the double spacing so that if I think of like a new tag or something to throw in there, I can kind of write it in the middle and then rewrite it again as like the whole piece.
Ooh, I'm gonna turn white. Let's see.
It's kind of different though, like, writing a story versus writing like a one-liner. Because a one-liner you can just kind of write and then finite as its own little individual thing, but a story, you kind of start with like, this was a really funny story, and it really takes some time to kind of like break it down. So that kind of thing, I'll have to write the whole thing out and then cut and cut. And it's like, what's the good part of this? What do I need? What's all filler? And then just throw all that away.
Right.
Try to cut down the juice. Because there's been times where I go on stage, I'm talking about something, and I realize like it hasn't been over for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just rambling. It's good for a podcast, in that kind of environment where you can just ramble, but it doesn't work when you're trying to get like as many punchlines per minute as possible. I think the Ralphie May stand-up special helped me a lot too. I'm not going to lie. That little YouTube masterclass thing, that helped me out a bunch. I would highly recommend that for anybody. Just Ralphie May stand-up masterclass. Because I remember he said there was a point, like, you asked earlier about being addicted to comedy. Like, you said for the first 90 days, there should be no girlfriends unless they're coming to the club with you. Like, every day is comedy, at least 3 times a day. And I was 2 months into doing exactly that when I watched the video, and I'm like, oh cool, I'm already 2/3 of the way through. One month to go. And then by the end of it, I was 100 sets in, and like, being 13 to 100, huge difference. I listened to the audio, it was like, oh wow, it's just the most bullshit. Like, not like, if you talk about authenticity, the first ones are absolute trash. It's the worst version of my jokes possible. I hated listening to them. Right. But it's important to know that they exist, and like, that's where it started from. And now when I go into like, even some, like one of the same jokes, it would be way different. So, I forget your original question.
That's fine. So, I always ask everybody this, until I take this question out. Do you remember when we met?
Yeah. We were it was like, hey, this is Aaron. He's gonna be your manager. And you're like, yeah, here's the kitchen. You showed me how to run a line, and I bothered you about every order for like 8 times in a row. Like, how do I make microwavable soup? You're like, well, you put it in the microwave. And then I remember I took the job because I wanted to watch comedy. This was very like selfish and not very thought through at this point. I saw the intercom in the kitchen. I'm like, I work here, they're gonna do comedy. Comedy's gonna come through the speaker. I could hear it while I'm prepping food. I'm gonna hear comedy every day, nonstop. No, it was hardcore trap music. And when I would try to peek into the hallway to watch the thing, you're like, Seabass, you can't be watching comedy. Here's orders. So I had to go make the orders. And then when it was time to like take a break and hang out with the comics, I'd get 2 5-minute breaks. Get to hang out and not really get to know anybody. And then go back in the kitchen. By the time I'd leave, it was 2 a.m. and everybody was gone. So it wasn't like it was in the past couple months. It was so different at the beginning. But when we met, you were 100% like my boss, and I knew absolutely nothing about comedy. So you were giving me like little pieces of advice. Record your sets. I remember I even like ran all my bits on you before I pointed to them, which is so cringy in hindsight. But yeah,
it's fine. We needed workers.
I wrote them on the napkins.
Like I would say, right back, but you were just at a point where I felt like I could leave you phone and you could make the orders.
I was
like,
right there.
I'm like, yes, and then you're like, oh, I gotta go.
Back to Vegas. That was right. I missed you guys for a little bit. Yeah, that was like, I was kind of starting to feel it, and then after I bombed in February, dude, the comedy bug was dead. Like it was at. Do you remember that OB the wrestling, the crazy wrestling venue? Like, yeah, 4.5 minutes of silence followed by 30 seconds of pity laughter. And then I had somebody who's known to steal jokes come and tell me that I stole the last joke. Or like, I can't do it because that's been done. And I thought, yeah, I'm done, I quit. That's all it took. And then I came back, I'm very glad I did. Yeah, I'm glad we met too. It took a while to grow on me, I'm not going to lie. But now I think of you as like one of my favorite people here, 100%. It's crazy. I was told recently by another comic who we both know very well that you might be the most quoted comedian in the San Diego scene, which I think might has.
Well, buy my merch!
Buy
Appreciation!
Put it all over your body.
You know what? Don't ask me to buy it in person unless you see it.
Yeah.
Buy it online.
Just buy it on the website.
That's the hard thing.
The pretzel merch is twisted up.
Yeah, that's the hard part. It's like I can sell merch here and there if I have it on.
You're the pun master. It's cool, man.
I'm trying to really
Pun swag.
I'm not trying to just make jokes for merchandise.
Pun fu panda.
Just trying to do it at all. Trying to.
The merch is cool, man.
Facebook group.
Not gonna lie. Like
I'm wearing some right now for the.
You ever had an evil pretzel? How do I read the whole thing properly? I love a good pretzel. Have you ever had an evil one? They're really twisted. There's 17 more puns if you come see him live.
Yeah.
Pretzel.
Oh, I'll buy one if you put every single word of the joke on.
If you did the entire
Thank you. Thank you.
For the whole By Myself song?
Yeah,
If you did.
Oh no, the By Myself song right now has a jazz version, which is jazz in the fact that, you know, improvise the whole thing.
All by myself.
But there's multiple versions. Anyway, that's enough about me.
By myself. I told you most quoted, dude. It's unmatched.
Appreciate that.
No one cares about my jokes. Everybody else. I love you, man.
There's plenty of jokes that nobody remembers.
No, I know.
So it's not just.
No, and I don't want to be too self-critical. I think I have some good bits I've worked really hard on over the years, but you know, I like having somebody come up to me after a show and be like, "You were really funny, man." Like,
yeah. So what's the best fan interaction you've had?
Ooh, I've had people come up. Well, people that had sex with me, so that's pretty cool. That's always awesome. Thank you to all the women. Anyway, there was one time I follow this person that's been following me on YouTube for like years, ever since I used to make videos where I go to music festivals and just vlog them. Do like a day by day, day 1, day 2, day 3 over like Burning Man or like a bottle or just, you know, things along that course nature. And it was just cool to see. They saw the whole transition from like me doing crack little bits in the middle of a video to fine editing bits, going on the stage and reciting them for an audience. So that's always kind of neat. I love, you know, like those full circle moments happen. Yeah, again, the first thing, that was great. I remember one time my favorite one of those was I did the ACC show and I had a kazoo in my pocket and this girl was like, "Is that a kazoo?" Before I even started, and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And then later, maybe like a week later, she was like, "Oh my gosh, did you have a kazoo on stage a week ago?" I was like, "I was that girl." I'm like, "But that was funny." And I don't bring the kazoo.
Yeah, it's too noticeable.
It's very noticeable. It makes it look small.
You don't make big kazoos?
They should make a really tiny kazoo for
Hide it better.
go with my little hats, which are also very well loved by the community. My favorite little, like, it had nothing to do with comedy, but there was just like one night I was hanging out at a bar and like there was this girl, like I was hanging out with her all night. Some dude comes up at the very end and just like tries to like steal her away, and I was like, "What?" So I went back over like at the beach. It was like the final moment. I had my little hat on, and like me and this guy are having this moment while she's on the phone. He wants me to leave. I want him to leave, and I'll never forget. If you're looking like this, he would have been like this way. He looks back at me. He's like, "Why don't you take your little hat and get the fuck out of here?" Oh, she was a nice lady, but yeah, I won. Stupid. I'm kidding. This is an X-rated podcast now. It's fine, yeah. People hate on me, but I got game. I'm pretty silly, so I'm happy with myself, and nobody hates me more than me. Oh, isn't that cute?
One day you'll love yourself.
One day. Oh man, that's obviously. What's your next question, bud?
Do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I think comedy has been one of the greatest attributes given to me in my recent adult life. There was a point when I came back the second time. So like when I fully devoted myself back to comedy in like late 2022. On my birthday that year, I was roofied at a bar. I got roofied, I blacked out, I broke most of my teeth, like I cut my face open. That's why I have this Harry Potter scar in the middle of my face. And it was at this bar that I went to like almost every day. It was like my local pool spot, my watering hole. Nice. And they wanted to help me out. So they banned me and deleted the footage. To this day, I have no idea what happened. But here's the thing, every night I was going to this like bar, I was wasting my nights, my life, doing nothing. And then this happened, I stopped going there, and every night turned into like, well, I'll go to the comedy club, because I was already like a month into it at that point. And even though I had a fucked up face, and I was bleeding, covered in band-aids, I had no teeth, like I got on that stage several times. My birthday was crazy. You know, I wasn't even like that good at the set, but the fact that I got up there and did it, it was like, wow, what a reprieve from like the sadness that I'm feeling at this tumultuous situation. I hated it. And if there's been so many points over like the last decade or so where I really could have used like that environment to go up and tell jokes, and not to mention, yeah, I'd love to be like 10 years in the game versus like almost 2 years.
Right.
It's the amount of stage time. It's all about stage time, and the more hours you put in, the more years you put in, like the better you are, the better you're gonna be, no matter what. The more practice you put into anything, you're gonna be better at it later on. So yesterday I gave a ride to a 17-year-old kid just on the rideshare app, and he was talking about he wants to do comedy one day, and I'm saying, dude, you start now, in 10 years you're gonna be 27 with 10 years of experience. Like, go do it.
Right. Yeah. So, there's clubs that will let you come in, but just for set.
Yeah.
Because they know that in 4 years you're going to be 21,
and you're going to be better.
And you're going to be there buying drinks.
That's it. So it's one of those things. Like, do I wish? Yes. Do I regret? No, because I wouldn't go back and change anything that happened in the last decade, because that puts me to where I am right now in my life. And it's one of those things. Like, you ever see The Time Machine?
Yeah.
Or he like keeps trying to save his wife and can't save his wife. Like, I think about the Kill Tony thing all the time. I just want to go back real specifically. Like, there's 8,000 people there. The chances of getting pulled are minimal, bar none. I'm about to sign up. Like, you're the sign up guy. I'm right here in line. He's like, what's your seat number? My phone's charging in the car. I'm like, I don't know. So I have to run back to my car, get the seat number, come back, then I sign up. The guy who was right behind me, he went up. He was the first one to get picked that night. So in my head, I'm like, what if I had had my name there? And it's like, at the same time, you can't save your wife. Right. She's gonna die, no matter how you go back and try to change it. So I was never gonna get pulled. That's the universe. And it's like,
right, yeah.
So these things happen for a reason.
Because that piece of paper.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing.
Isn't it?
Is it the piece of paper? Because you're right, like, your name would have been
in theory, I would have been that piece of paper.
That's
I'll think about that for the rest of my life. Like, and it's
but
just
because of that interaction,
right.
When they cut it up and they mix them in, would that process have still been the same?
It's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so everything kind of happens as it's meant to. I guess the butterfly effect and the Lazarus effect and the Time Machine Guy Fieri effect are all like kind of a little different, but I think the universe has already kind of set in its ways. Like, it knows what's gonna happen, and you have to just ride it out and try your best to go with the flow. If you fight it, like, one of my favorite quotes given me was by this woman. She said, "It's easier to keep swimming forward than to try to swim back through your own wake."
Right. Also, can you imagine? I feel bad for someone that was doing something, or in life, and kept getting their way. Everything keeps going right for them, and then all of a sudden, the odds catch up to them.
Yeah.
And then it's no a bunch of times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what is happening?
Life
used to be so easy.
World would be crumbling around you, versus the opposite would feel like a blessing. No, versus one, yes, thank you.
Or a mix of both. Sometimes yes, no.
But yeah, you have to go with the flow. So I understood going into that the chances were very little, but it's like, you gotta try. I think I was the only San Diego comic to try, which is pretty neat, yeah, for both nights. It's pretty cool. I mean, Kill Tony in Arena. They'll try again in May in LA. at the YouTube theater and forget the name of the other one. It's like a big theater. Could be fun. Never know.
Yeah. That was.
It's gonna be Anaheim
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to go.
in like 3 months. Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, if you don't have to buy a ticket, yeah, that sounds great. If I had known that, I would have bought a ticket. But I was kind of upset the comics went for free. Like just a little bit.
Right. Well, it's a trade-off, right? Because if you're in the show, you get to enjoy the show, and you don't have to.
No, they got to enjoy the show too. Without buying a ticket.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like they literally showed up, no ticket, and they put him in the arena with everybody else who bought a ticket.
I see.
And I thought, what is this? Like, yeah, my yeah.
Right.
No, it did sell out.
Did
And they reserved a section for comics. That's what I'm saying. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I guess because they didn't have nowhere else to put them, right?
No, they had like that. The arena was like a stage, and then it did like a wraparound all the way to the back. So they put them right here on that like almost behind the stage part where you kind of can't see. But yeah, there were people right here who also paid for seats in the same one, right over there, and just read.
Okay. Well, I guess in that case, then, because I was gonna say,
Like, it's free,
either watch
right?
a show or hang out with other
I thought
comics.
you'd hang-
So maybe it's better not to buy a ticket.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah.
Whatever, it'd be easier. I'd say they had the majority of polls too. It's pretty interesting. I thought it'd be limited to whoever purchased a ticket, but that was I should have read the fine print. It's all good. And I still, yeah. But you know what's funny? I haven't watched an episode since. Like I'm actually a little sad. I used to watch every week. I haven't turned it on. Mike Gonzalez signed my stick. Said kick his ass Seabass on it. My goal was to do a drum off against him in the arena. Because my dad played drums in an arena back in the day, and I wanted to be like the second generation of Fowlers to do that. So I'll have my chance. Just gotta write it out. It's cool though, man. I love comedy. You never really know what's around the corner. It's kind of the fun part too.
Yeah, just like life, right?
Yep. I think, yeah, comedy and life are very like relatively similar. They go hand in hand with one another quite well, you know. Like with life, there are moments where you'll laugh and where you'll cry. The classic tragedy or comedy, you know, the old trope of Shakespearean tales. And that is truly like what life is. You're either gonna laugh or you're gonna cry, or you could like cry how much you're laughing or laugh at how much you're crying. You know, it's one of those things, and I think it's beautiful to be able to like finesse this art form and to have places, you know, like the Madhouse, like American Comedy Company, like the Comedy Store, like that just allow people who live in San Diego to just go up and like try to get better at this form. I know we kind of have like a B-level city. It's not like it's Austin and LA, but we have stuff going on all the time. People love it. They live for it.
But the comedy scene in general makes up for that.
I mean, we're not like Wichita. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like there was.
We're a major city.
There was a comic I was talking to that was like from Little Rock.
Wow, yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
And
Arkansas.
they got quick and like it doesn't sound, but it's also like an environment I can see people like they really delineate. Oh, you're a comic,
right?
I mean, and they're not. It didn't sound like they just were like right away. Okay, you're either a hobby comic or you're serious, and you could always go from hobby to be serious, but you gotta like prove that you're serious at it, you know.
Right.
And it was like interesting, just different.
Yeah, it's hard to go about that in that kind of environment when there's really only so many places to be. You kind of have to take it into your own hands at that point. Make your own thing.
Yeah, I think.
Little Rock, Arkansas. I immediately think of Zombieland.
Yeah.
Hey, Little Rock. I think Wichita is one of the other ones too, which is great. Yeah, Tallahassee, Wichita, Little Rock, and I forget Jesse Eisenberg's name.
Alright, so what's your favorite place to do comedy?
My heart's in Madhouse, dude. I don't know, but I don't want to be like I know that we're here, so that probably adds to that fact. But
Right.
the Madhouse was my very first stage I ever performed open mic, very first booked show, over in the main room. Like it's got a special place in my heart. I love coming here and doing like a 4-person room brick set. That's amazing. People talk smack on it all the time. They're like, "There's only four people here." Make those 4 people laugh, because they're here to see comedy. They're here for one thing, and you can do it. Like, stop being such a baby about it. I think this room is like the make or break kind of situation, and it's fun. There's something very special about this little purple room. And for right now, you know, I don't know Like
It's purple?
it's not purple right now, but
I don't like.
when it's in the
That threw me off for a second.
no, I know that. I know it's like brown and tan, but when you come in here and there's that purple glow, man, like it feels pretty cool. And sometimes you have a full room and like the feel of it. I remember watching the Big J set in here, watching Big J do like 13 minutes and just having every comic try to shove their little body here. I've never seen so many humans in this room, and it's like that's where it's kind of like this is comedy right there. That was it. I mean, I've had sets over like at the store. I love that room, the way you can see everybody and just to know the history of what happened in this place.
Mm-hmm.
Or same thing with ACC, to know who like the names that have been on this stage that you're sharing that space with. It's an incredible feeling. But this room is pretty cool, man. I don't know. I like the brick a lot. And
Text me about turning off the lights when we're done. Yes, Robert. Turn off the lights. Left the lights on out there in case we have to go to the bathroom. We have to walk over there and turn on the light just to use the bathroom or use our phone.
Shouts out to Robert. I'm not gonna say it, but it was the best email of all time. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think I only know San Diego for right now, but I've seen what's possible out there in the world, and I think I'm very grateful that this is where I'm kind of like putting all those skills to the test. See, like maybe one day I'll be able to go up and take on a real challenge, like something big, or
So, like, I know you want to get on Kill Tony, but would you ever or have you ever auditioned for America's Got Talent or something like that?
Ooh, there was a point in time where that's what I wanted to do, and comedy wasn't even in the ideas. I was going to sing super generic songs. I wasn't even that good at singing it, and then I started to do I don't know if you knew this. I was in a couple bands, had a solo music project. Did 100K on Spotify. Got on 91X here locally, which was sick.
Nice.
It was James Blonde, USA. It was fun. I was sick and tired of hearing all these British artists be like, "Hey, we was in the studio, right, and then the track, it just sort of came to me in a dream." And then the track sounds like, "I was riding in the..." And there's no accent. Where's your accent, dude? It's just gone. Fuck you. So I made James Blonde, who sang with a British accent, even though he was American. So he kind of sang like this, and it's really fun. Yeah, that was a really fun little project. But yeah, music was definitely the high point for a little while. And I swear to you, man, there was a point where comedy and music were battling for a while.
What about both? What about doing comedy songs?
No. Yeah, that is done that once, and it's cool. I think that I love Demetri Martin. I think Luke Knoll's great. I think Adam Sandler.
I don't mean to just.
Yeah, I don't want to throw that out of the realm of possibility. I think for now, focusing on just writing is really important. Just being able to go up and do 15 without a guitar. If I have an hour and I can put a funny little song in there, sure, that sounds like fun. But music was definitely the focal point, and so big shows in that regard, like AGT or whatever, were definitely oh, this is what you need to do. And I don't know, but even then, Aaron Belial did comedy. We got through AGT pretty well. And I guess, I don't know, yeah, those superstar shows are interesting, but I really think that it's easier or more likely to make it as an independent artist trying to really focus on whatever it is your niche subject is and finding your audience that way versus trying to make it on this multi-million-dollar platform unless you really got it. I'm not going to put it out of their own possibility, and also I'd love to go on Kill Tony. That definitely.
Well, I mean, it's gonna even if you never try to become an influencer or follow that path, it's a credit.
It is
and you get booked sometimes on.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, it sounds like fun.
Especially if you say that you want.
I don't know what I would do for my act. If that makes sense. It would probably just be comedy. I also follow this guy, Alex Hooper. Do you know who that is? I met him at a music festival years and years ago. We used to be absolutely just whacked out. And that dude, he was doing this comedy show. I'll never forget. It was one of the funniest comedy shows I've ever seen in my life. I will literally never. The comedians were terrible, and they mean absolutely nothing to the story. But basically, I just wanted to have, this is a 2018 at this festival called Desert Hearts. This guy, Alex, ran this little comedy booth. It was literally just a tapestry and a little boom box and a mic, and there's 7 people watching. I thought I'd have a nice little easy, like, you know, I just want to do some mushrooms, so I ate 1 cap. I don't know if you've ever done mushrooms before, but like, that's not a lot. It's just supposed to be a little bit. And so I go watch this show, and it's pretty cool, it's fun, and I'm looking at, they have the one little speaker, and then this jet flies over the canyon, and it makes the most terrifying noise I've ever heard. And I look at this little speaker like, oh no. I'm thinking like, this is a deep evil comedy show. I can't be here anymore. So I take a chai, I have like a hot chai and a hot bowl of soup. I leave the festival, and I go into the middle of the woods. I climb up a mountain. I'm halfway up the mountain. I'm like, I should go back. I should probably go back. And end up eating my soup, my chai, go back to my tent, lay in the fetal position for like 3 hours until my buddy wakes me up and he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. And then I went out, went on the dance floor, and I met a lady. So, interesting night, but that comedy show is definitely one of my favorites. The original question, talking about Alex got on AGT. He got cancer, he beat it, and then he went on as a comedian. And he's been using that credit to like travel everywhere. I love everything that he's doing. Yeah, Hooper Hair Puff, I think. It's just Instagram. But shouts out, it was cool. I don't know what that story had to do with it, but that comedy show was so fun. I'll never forget that. It was the shittiest little boombox, and it just, anyway,
Yeah.
I hope that added to your...
Just stay safe.
Stay safe. Or yeah, have a buddy. Talk to him by yourself.
No, the speaker did not make that noise. It was the jet.
That was the jet, yeah. That was basically it. Funny comedy show though. I suppose I'd do it too. And to answer the Kill Tony thing too, like, I was really excited about Kill Tony, and you know, like, if the opportunity came again, I'll try. But I'm not going like out of my way to like try and go there every week. And I've been hearing people in the Austin scene saying that like the Kill Tony army is kind of like taking over the way that comedy works out there. Like, instead of people doing like 5-10 minute sets on like, you know, a story or subject matter, it'll be like 10-minute long bits that are just like kind of strung together because they're all practicing for a little Kill Tony minutes. And I'm not sure if that's the truth for the entire scene or for everyone down there, but I've definitely heard that become like it's a relevant factor as far as like new comedy goes. So I want to become better at like being in like the full margin of what it means to be a comedian versus like what it means to go on Kill Tony and have a good minute. Like, I have several minutes that I'd be happy with just going up and doing. How they would land or deliver, I don't know. But I know that I've got a minute. And I know that when I went to go see that show, there were a lot of people that didn't even have that. And it was disappointing, but it was like, okay, you know, at least I was here, got it done, like, and if I ever went on again, I got the credit of like being in the audience. Saw some crazy stuff that night, man. Probably my favorite part, if you're interested, there, you know, Brian Holtzman. He's a comedy store legend. He's like, is that making sense? Kind of popping up, big white mustache, white, like a Hunger Games narrator. Anyway, he had this one joke. Keep in mind, I'm in the ground floor middle section. I'm probably like 40 rows out from the stage. And this guy, I'm definitely going to botch the bit, but he's like, suck that fucking, like, it was just a really wild, aggressive comedy. But basically said, pull out your wiener, have your lady suck it. Like, and there was a man, probably like 7 people down from me, who stood, I'm not the audio. He stood up. He looked to his left, he looked to his right, he turned to his woman, and then he pulled down his pants. And I'm sitting over there like, oh, no way. And the whole audience behind him is just in shock. And then she just looks at it, looks down, and then flicks it. And then he sits back down, and they never kicked him out. And I think about that all the time. And wow, that was so fascinating. So yeah, the Kill Tony show was pretty, was cool. I almost had an orgy at the end of the weekend, turned it down with one of the characters who was on night 1. It's true. There's a whole lore that goes into this bit. But yeah, I turned it down. Couldn't risk shrinking. I'm ready to answer anything else.
What was your family life growing up?
Ooh, that's cool. So, I love my mom, I love my dad. My parents got divorced. Well, they got married when I was really little, probably 1. And then they got divorced when I was 3. So I grew up in Connecticut with my dad and my grandma mostly. And about 5 times a year I'd fly out to Salt Lake City, go spend like 2 weeks with my mom. So had a really good relationship between like my mom, my dad, all the way up until my dad passed. And then that kind of got put things in a whirlwind, because I was in Bethel, Connecticut with him when I was 14, and then he passed away. So I only had 3 months left of like my freshman year in high school, and there was this bike shop I worked at. So the bike shop family, the Villafanos, they took me in to let me finish high school so that I could at least finish 9th grade. And then for 10th grade, I moved to Salt Lake City with my mom. I went to this place, Cottonwood High School. And then starting 11th grade, we moved to another part of Utah, Sandy, Utah. And I did like homeschool. I just played video games for like 3 months. I didn't do a single piece of homework, paperwork, nothing. And then we moved again, like 3 months into it, to Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming. And too late to sign up for the regular school. So there was this alternative school called Triumph, and they had a computer program. So it was too late to go into the regular academic stuff. I went in the computer lab, and keep in mind, my dad passed away. I was a good student, so I'm failing pretty badly, like a year behind in high school or whatever. And I was in the computer lab for like 3 months, and I think I had like 2.5 years worth of high school, technically, in that three months. So by the time I went back into the regular school, I was actually ahead of track to graduate. And then I graduated at 17 in Cheyenne with my mom. And then she got a job for this oil company in South Dakota when I was like 18. And I thought, well, I've never been away from my family. So I kind of like, even though I had my own little apartment, I decided to go live with her in South Dakota. And that became like I know you're an adult, but I'm your mom, no girls over, no lights past 10, no breaking curfew. Basically just like I was a kid again. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. So I got a job at a summer camp in like Stallion Springs, or Tehachapi, California, teaching kids how to ride BMX bikes. And that's when I was 19 and I moved out to come here. And then immediately afterwards, I drove down to San Diego with no GPS. I followed my roommates, but they lived in Rancho Bernardo. So we got off at there was a Sprouts on Pomerado. And I'll never forget, they were like, okay, well, we have like families and lives and stuff, so the skate park is that way, good luck. And I was like, okay. And I went to the skate park. The very first night, I was too scared to go in because I was too nervous, which is really funny. And like the next day, I went to go ride, and 10 minutes into my very first session, I snapped my frame in half. So I had no bike, and I was stuck in no GPS, so I didn't know where the beach was, and I was stuck in Poway for like 2 weeks before I figured out where like downtown San Diego. I'm like, this looks nothing like the postcards. Where's the bridge? Where's the water? This sucks. But yeah, that was over 10 years ago now, which is crazy. Eventually figured it out. But yeah, family life was good. My mom was a good mom. Dad was a good dad. He tried his best. He died young.
Yeah.
He was 42. It's crazy.
Oh, that's 10 years younger than I am right now.
That's crazy, yeah, you know. I hang out with Alan sometimes at the same age. And it's like, whoa, that's trippy. Like, I don't know. I'm at the point where my friends are like I would just be like one of my dad's buds. I'm just like it's weird. It's really weird to think about him like a person, because I'm getting to that point in life where like, I don't know. I've lived longer without him than with him, which was a hard. Yeah. When I was 28, that happened. I was like, oh, I'm at that halfway point. So, but he's with me all the time, and I like being able to do comedy about it because I kind of feel like I preserve his memory. Like every time I do these jokes, yes, they're kind of demented and twisted a little bit, but I think he would have liked them. I love keeping the spirit up with me, and I saw my mom, so I'm grateful for her. So I don't really do as many bits about her. I just like being able to call her on the phone. We've been through a lot. We have definitely been like oil and water throughout the years. Like, I'm very idealistic, and she's seen what the world can do to people. So it was easy for her to try to be like as hippie minded as me. But she tries, and she's good for like when those things do occur.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there is being too idealistic, and like knowing that my dad always, the best piece of advice, I think about this all the time. Verbatim from his lips, was hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's it. I've lived my life by that mantra, because it's like, yeah, I want to be hopeful, and I want to be, I know that good things are possible, but yes, also things can go wrong and haywire, and you can lose it all, just like that. And you got to be ready for that. So.
All right. So, what's your best booking story so far?
Oh, that's cool. Probably first time I hosted the Laugh Factory. Easy. I was supposed to do a show here, and I showed up, and they were like, "Oh, my bad. That's tomorrow, dude." Yeah, no, you're not doing that. And I thought, what? No, like, I bought everybody pizza. Yeah, I brought all these pizzas because I was supposed to be on the show, and then they were like, "No, you're not on the show." Like, they took me off and put me on the next one. And so I went over to the Laugh Factory, and I was just sad, but I had all these pizzas, and Gabe's like, "Seabass brought pizza!" So they let me go down to the basement, and everybody was eating the pizza. I was talking to Leah, and just told her, like, "Yeah, I was supposed to be on the show. And, oh man, I'm just kind of sad." And she's like, "Well, how would you like to have a paid gig this weekend hosting?" And I said, "What?" The first time I got paid to host a show at the Laugh Factory. Yeah, did the first one, went great. Second day got rained out. And then my favorite part about this, like, it's in no way like I don't want this to reflect on like anybody personally there, because it was all just like corporate mailing systems. But I did that show January 13th, and I waited 113 days for that check, which is 113 of it, guys. I remember getting it like, no way. Hey Siri, how many days has it been? It's been 113 days. I just threw it down. No way. But I still have that thing. And my favorite, they
So
had.
you didn't cash it?
No, I did you can do a mobile deposit and keep checks. Fun fact. But what's cool about it is like it was like $100. Nice. So the first time they sent it, it didn't make it to me, and it got sent back, and they had to resend it. Like, I got it, but that's what they said. And so there's a $35 reissue fee. So it's only $65.
They charged you that?
Yeah, dude. It's easily my favorite. I'll never get a funnier check in comedy. I don't care. Like,
It would have been funny if it was $69.
It'd be funnier if it was $69, but I'll take $65. It's pretty good. That was the year my dad was born. I never thought about that till right now.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That is interesting.
It didn't happen.
That's it. I never know. I've been having some guardian angel moments, man. Like, dude, I crashed on my bike like 2 days ago. I was telling you, this is unbelievable. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but like, I got my ears cut, my head's cut. I was basically just, I'm a semi-professional BMX rider. I got the cover of Dig BMX in 2020. Like, I've traveled more around the world for BMX than I have for comedy. So I'm just riding my e-bike down the street. I'm cruising, nice, easy little dude. There's a car coming, trying to get out of their way, so I'll go in the bike lane, whoop, split the little poles, and one of the poles, it's not wholly five, it's just a bump. It's that little black bump on the bottom. So I go, hit the bump, and to my, little did he know, there's a bunch of sand, so I'm leaning slightly to the left, completely wash out, and within like a second, my face is cheese gratering the roughest curb in Ocean Beach. And I'm mid-slide, like, no way, get out of here. And fall over. I'm sitting there like, what? And this couple rushes over to make sure I'm good. And he grabs my arm and like does the warrior pickup. And I just go like, yeah, look, I'm good, but I need you to tell me you're still attached. So they really thought it came up, and they're like, yeah, you're good, man. I thought, all right, cool. I fell hard enough, my AirPod broke, like, in my ear.
Sucks.
I know, but I just got up, went home, cleaned it, went back to work. And so we're riding that out right now. It's like, I like comedy over BMX because even just, like extreme sports in general, they put such a wear and tear on your body. Like I have the body of like a year-old Auschwitz victim, and it's not super fun. I mean, like, I don't know, it's bad. But when I do comedy, all you gotta do is stand there, and it's kind of nice. Plus, not to mention, like, as a photographer, I love to shoot photos, and a lot of the originations of like that that passion came from BMX, so learning how to do action sport photography, which is really difficult in comparison to shooting somebody just standing up. You know, when you're like, you have to be shooting 300 frames a second, make sure that like they're right in the middle of the action trick, you're in the proper angle, everything's set up, and make sure your lighting's good. There's a lot of work that goes into like that kind of element for creation. So when I'm going to shoot a comedy show, I still have that mindset of like, oh, like, I mean, where should I be? What are the angles? And like, how can I make this look cool? What's like the pinnacle moment? Because, you know, in an action shot, if someone goes like, whoa, like there's a point where they're like right here, it's stuck. And it's this cool, like, that's what I want, that's what I'm looking for. That's like when I want to capture, I'm shooting that stuff. And so it taught me a lot. And it's, like you said, like they're just very relatable subject matters. Like whatever kind of art you want to create, it's just, it all stems from the same like passion and creativity. And it's just been this changeling almost over the years. Because when I first came here, it was BMX, and then I was like, okay, this is cool. That started to be like doing photography, like, wow, I like doing photography. And that photography started like take me to music festivals. And I was like, oh, maybe I could like figure out how to do music and like put all this together, and started like making music and did all that. And I was like, I should show the world this, and made this YouTube video, or this YouTube channel that put all that together. And then during that whole production, I was like, I'm gonna make an album, and then like made this album, and then there was a documentary I was working on. I'm like, I'm gonna make this documentary. And then I like did all this, and I was like, I like comedy a lot. I'm gonna get back to this, boom, like back into comedy, like. But all these things are still like connected to each other as this little stream sequence, and it's cool, man. I just like creating. I make paintings. That's not something I talk about very often, but I love painting. Like, just
what medium are you painting? Like,
I love like spray and acrylic mix. Do a lot of like through 3-dimensional stuff. I'll take like old paintings I've made and like piece them together as like little shapes, make like cool shapes out of like these canvases, and just pour like paint all over them and make like, I don't know, they're kind of cool. But yeah, I just love making stuff. It doesn't matter. And so making a joke, I think, is one of the most important things that I've figured out how to do in my existence. Take words and streamline them into a point where you can make laughter kind of just pop out of nowhere. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
So I love comedy, for sure. Really doing this, folks. It's
right. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Probably me. No, I know. I don't. I'm teasing. Wait, like the first thing in it?
Whatever you think of when I say that.
That's a great question. Give me a half second. Probably like, I almost want to put it as like a lack of camaraderie. People like gang shit talk on somebody, and it's just becomes like you're thrown into this nether realm. Whether you're like at the celebrity level or whether you're at the local level, just this sort of like willingness to feel like it's okay to just be like blatantly rude to people about certain things, and like it's really not. Like, if you want to go ahead and like learn how to do that on stage and be funny, but like I've heard just the straight up, just people are rude and gross, and that's why I think it really is important to like keep your head down and like stay in your own lane and figure out who's really got your back. And so that's, you know, like when I say, like I noticed it's very high school, and it's for a reason, I get it. It's like, if you're gonna make it with, look at like Happy Madison Productions. They would have their own table at the cafeteria, but that's like a really cool table for the cool ass dudes. And so just want to learn how to like become one of those people that could work with everybody and not have as many people like. Maybe it does stem from like the fact I have people just come up and just tell me like, oh, like this person's talking shit about you, this person's talking shit about you. Someone come up and say something, and it's like, damn, this is a lot. Like, you guys are really mean and rude. How long have you been doing comedy again? 10 years? Oh wow, that's crazy. You've never made me laugh. It's just like sometimes those dynamics hit, and or the people that come in without like the full gung-ho level of passion that like you should have, but I realize that does take time to kind of develop. You can't just come in and like, want it so bad, or else you'll end up like becoming a nuisance. So it's just like,
I mean,
what's the worst thing?
I think everybody has to understand that.
Stew quit, right? Okay, I'd say stew. Sorry, but we all know. Oh my god. He did.
Yeah, Stew's definitely an example of what not to do.
He did 3 minutes. I don't know, there was this guy who would like, saying the N-word a lot, and then The next week, he was like, it's okay that I said it because I used to work with a man named Malcolm X back in New York. There's a plaque with my name on it. And it's like 3 minutes of I have a black friend. And if there's any black friend who wouldn't want you to say that, it's him, okay? Just keep that together. But I had a friend who I'm not going to tell you who they are, like, because it would ruin their career if there ever was one. But they told me they strictly wanted to get into comedy to start being able to say the N-word. And I was like, you are not off to a good start here. This is bad. Like, is that how you really feel? I don't know, man. That's just one of those things. Worst thing about comedy? I don't know. I guess that's all very subject.
Yeah. So
I don't really know. I can't really think of like the worst, or maybe just people not being true. People like being fake people. That's it.
All right. Cool. So is there anything else you want to talk about?
How do you get into comedy?
Well, redacted. Go watch.
Redacted.
Well, go listen to any other episode. The story over and over.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Wait. Let me give you something more like, I want to give you a one of a kind.
Is the answer 7?
No, probably not. Maybe, actually, that would be a possible answer.
I don't
What I was about to
know.
say. Well, I was gonna say what moment from your, I want to say, like, did you ever see like a piece of TV or cinema or like a movie or watch a stand-up show and like if there was a first time where you were like, I could do that?
I think it was just like a culmination of everything, and like really the biggest thing was like listening to comedy podcasts and having the guests talk about their story and going, wait a minute, that sounds like kind of like me, except for the part where I started doing comedy.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I would suggest if you think about, oh, you might want to be a comic, just listen to comedy podcasts where they talk about how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you look for an open mic to go to, as soon as you think you should do comedy or might want to try it, don't make it a New Year's goal.
Yeah.
Just start, just
The hesitation
Do it.
kills people. Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah, I might want to try it one day. I don't know. I think I've got some stuff written down. I don't know what.
I do ride share all the time. The amount of people that tell me that is like unbelievable. I mean, you just have to do it. Just go and get it done.
Yeah.
Show me a little notes section. One thing I did want to bring up, which is kind of really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I was giving a Lyft ride to this, I forgot his name, and I'm driving. He says, "Are you a drummer?" 'Cause I have drumsticks that are kind of stuck in my seatbelt thing here. So, yeah. I say, okay, well, we're going over to OB Noodle House, by the way, from like PB to OB, Pacific Beach to Ocean Beach, and he says, okay, well, I shouldn't tell you this, but Dave Grohl is there right now, like having food.
Wow.
And I thought, what, like the Dave Grohl, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, like, and he's like, yeah, dude. I thought maybe I can see him from the window, but now he's like, no, the first shirt's in the back. There's no way they would just like put him in the regular section.
Right.
So I drop this dude off. There's a parking spot right there in the front, and I'm like, should I park? I'm like, I have to work. Make it a half a block away. What the fuck am I doing? And like just fully do a U-turn, go back up, park in the spot. Earlier that day, I really wanted Noodle House like 3 in the afternoon, just super randomly. My buddy said, you know what you should do? You should go to work, make some money, and then by the time that you have the money to eat it, you'll be even hungrier, and it'll taste better, and you'll pay for it. And I'm like, that's a great idea. So I'm thinking, you know what? I want Noodle House anyway. I go, park the car, go in, sit down. Everybody at the bar is like trying to catch a glimpse of the Grohl. We all know he's in the back. We're all talking about it, and I see him go to the bathroom once. I see the side of his head. It's like one of my first kind of like full on shock value celebrity level. Like that dude's one of my icons. He played the devil in Tenacious D. Like one of the people ask me why I moved to California. Tenacious D, Lawrence Dogtown, Point Break, Anchorman, and Rocket Power. That's it. And like that movie has such an influence on my life. So there he is in the flesh. Goes back to his table. How cool is he? He's so fucking cool. He goes out to smoke a cigarette in the middle of his meal, and like just goes out in the alley and starts smoking. I'm like, it's Dave Grohl, man. This is my chance. I smoke cigarettes. This is why I smoke cigarettes. And so I see.
Don't smoke cigarettes.
Don't smoke cigarettes. But yeah, like,
See?
I went to my car. I knew I had a new pack, and I'm just like shakily opening this thing. And I walk over. I was like, excuse me, Miss Mr. Grohl? He's like, you can call me sir. I'll call you whatever you want, man. That's the exchange of that thing. That's how it went verbatim because it was so funny. And then eventually we're talking. 5 other dudes around here now. We're just kind of like smoking and talking. And I bring up the fact that my dad was in this band Steelheart, like this really big old 90s band. He knows who they are immediately. So he's like, oh, so you do music? And I tell him, actually, no, I'm doing stand-up comedy. And he went, just like that. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So now he's focused on me. And we're talking back and forth like, yeah, I've done this many sets. I really like it, like blah, blah, blah. And he says, I have a cousin, his name's Tim. Tim had a multi-million-dollar software business, was doing great, like very extremely successful. Went to a comedy show, saw a guy do so bad that he was like, you know what, I can do that for sure. Gave up his business, millions of dollars. Was like, nah, I'm not doing that. Now he tours as like a headlining comedian around the country. So this is all going to come full circle in a second. I went to Texas. And I met David Jolly, Cam Patterson's uncle, just working a door shift at the Comedy Mothership. He was super cool. And I told him I'm San Diego. He said, I'm doing a show on the 11th, you should come by. And so I reached out in the DMs a couple days later, like, can I shoot it? I won't charge you, just can I shoot it? And he said, yeah. So I went to, met everybody, like, and then their green room is next to another green room for like the main room. There's 2 green rooms at the club. And I walk into the other one, there's these 2 guys, I don't know them. One's like, hey, I'm Mike. And the other one's like, yo, Seabass, what up, dude? And it's this old man, like this old dude with a beard. And he's like, yeah, excuse me, sorry, that was like, but he's like, yeah, Seabass, like, what up, man? And gives me a high five. This is the main room comic, the dude knows me. I'm too afraid to be like, who are you? And so, just shook his hand and we talked a couple times throughout the night. And then, finally, it wasn't until I got home, I went like, no way. I went and looked up that comic, Dave Grohl's cousin, Tim Hanlon. That was him, dude! Somehow, like, the Dave and I talking about this dude, like, transferred over to where he, like, saw my thing, knew me, and, like, it's like, what? So that was a pretty cool, like, it wasn't a looking story, but that was sick, dude. That all just kind of, like...
I'd say that was like a fan interaction also could mean where you're a fan of someone else.
Yeah, but I didn't expect Dave Grohl's cousin to know my name. I was just like, what? Yeah, it blew my mind. And I don't know. Yeah, it all came from just doing comedy, man. It's pretty sweet. Also, shouts out to Rudy. That's when I lived. That's my dude.
So, what's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
Oh, easy. I'm on Instagram at Seabass Jokes. My YouTube channel is Galactic Seabass. You can email me at galacticseabass@gmail.com. Hit me up in the DMs on Insta, I'm on TikTok, my OnlyFans. Well, my dog OnlyFans. That's funny. Only.
Yeah, but the dog
only paws. Only paws. That's cute. No, yeah, just DM me or give me a call. And then I got some dates.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you want to talk about.
Sure.
Also, you put it in the podcast, but it might not be in time, so you can also call into the podcast and leave a voicemail for the dates as well.
Okay.
So you can do both.
Just real quick. Tomorrow, Comedy Store. I'm versing Mitch Ryan in a roast battle, and February 21st, I'll be at U31 in North Park, and then March 1st doing Quantum Brewery with this guy. Right. Right, roll.
Yeah, we'll all be in the past. I'm sure you were there to all 3 of them.
Oh, okay. I see. This will air later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Backed up.
Yep.
I'm trying to jack it so I can just like
good for you, dude.
Relax and work on the Instagram and merch and
that's
all
cool.
That stuff.
Yeah, I've done and I do a podcast every Thursday at Galactic Seabass on YouTube. How do you put all your stuff on Spotify and like what's
there's I can.
Is that like an off the camera thing kind of?
No, it's not a secret. There was an app called Anchor, and then Spotify bought them.
Oh,
so I think it's called like Spotify for Anchor or Spotify for
something kind of like mixed.
It's like it's.
Do you pay for it?
It's free.
It's free.
Awesome.
What?
You can record it on your computer or a mix of both.
Yeah, like if I had the files, I could just upload them.
Yeah.
Wow, it's that easy?
Yeah, it goes to 7 different places.
Oh my gosh, I always thought.
Spotify,
It says
Apple Music.
I looked it up. It said
Apple
a
Podcasts.
video encoder or something. I was
No,
like,
it's great.
that's wild. Yeah.
I'm not gonna use anything else until.
Well, thanks, man.
Of course.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. You're very interesting to talk to. I could talk to you for longer. I just
3:30.
3:25.
Gotta change my oil.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few other things I should do. Hopefully, I can get up at the Comedy Store tonight.
Oh yeah, we'll find out in about 30 minutes. Is if I signed up for the potluck in LA for the first time yesterday. On Friday. I didn't.
I set up. Yeah, I set up.
Have you ever gotten it?
Not so far. I set up a automatic email.
Is that a thing? That's cool.
Yeah, I use Gmail, and then there's a called Boomerang.
Okay.
The first.
That old cartoon channel?
No, it's like a.
I know.
It's like
I know. It's
a-
doing the boomerang. It's all coming back to you. That's a great channel.
Yeah. But the first time I did it, I messed up because I forwarded
Right.
a message, and then when sometimes you put forward,
right.
it put the forward, and it was forward potluck, and I'm like, damn it, no,
Not forward potluck.
it has to be potluck.
Potluck.
So I think the first time it automatically emailed, it was a waste of time because it had that.
And they don't email you back unless you get it, right?
Yeah, which makes sense.
It'd be cool if they were like, no.
I think it also just lessens especially if you set it up for automatic.
Yeah.
For me, it kind of lessens the blow of not getting it,
Yeah.
as opposed to watching the video every fucking week
Ooh.
and your name keeps not being called. I mean,
It's just on purpose.
no, definitely. Like, I think that they're definitely the most random because they're like, and I do.
I love when he
new
mispronounces
things
their names. Just tries this
over and over again.
I know.
And different ways each time.
But you wrote these guys. Yes.
And then, I do like the fact that they're making it to where you can't go up twice in a row.
That is cool.
So that should help people eventually.
In theory, you'd think, yeah.
But there were streaks where I was, going up every week for like
I had it
4
like
weeks.
I had it 3 months once. I mixed hyped and stoked into one word there and made nothing. But
Mhm.
yeah, Eddie was like, whose dick are you sucking to get up every week? And I was like, Mike Ben, dude. I'm banned now. Fuck it. No, I love
I'm
that.
sure he's not going to listen to this podcast.
No, you might.
And that's fine because sharing is
Hey,
caring.
sharing it. Hit like and subscribe. The real deal.
You're like,
It's an honor.
put it out and sent it
You
to
should
the right
see
person.
you should see in my old journal the first time I went to the store, like there's a whole page dedicated to like, what an honor to be here today. I just wanted to thank the staff for the opportunity. It's just genuinely thankful. And then one of my favorite moments, like I swear, I he probably won't remember this, but my favorite moment at the Comedy Store, I'll never forget. Probably for the rest, even if I make it as a comic and like I'm sell out one day, I will never forget this moment. It was like, I was first up to bat at the open mic, just some random Tuesday last year, and I'm like, yeah, you know me, woo, I'm hyped, let's do this, all right, we're having fun. And Mike walks by with the clipboard, and I was like, all right, Mike, let's have a good show. And he's like, don't fucking talk to me. He never even looked up from the clipboard, and was like, don't fucking talk to me. And then went on stage and was like, hey everybody, welcome, bringing up our first comic. And I went from so happy to like, I'm just dead inside, full melancholy. Then I realized, like, whatever. It was just funny. So that's gonna live rent free forever. It's cool, man. I like it. I went to Denny's with like a bunch of the comics after my drop. Like maybe some of them that wouldn't have wanted to hang out with me 6 months ago. Like we had a really fun little meal and hung out. I was the only person to win the claw machine. So it's not for you, it's for them. Do people still do that? Is that still up there?
I don't know. I don't.
I'm out of the social times, man.
All right.
Catch me on social media.
Yeah, it's been great, but my butt is asleep.
Hey, comedy or worse. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again for listening to Comedy
or Worse with your host, Aaron Trahan. I'm Seabass. Bye.